pod bay doors.
Greetings and welcome to another exciting episode of The Cinematic Traveler. I am your intrepid movie exploring host, Chris, and on this episode we are going to dive back into the Predator franchise, this time with the Hulu original animated film entitled Predator: Killer of Killers. And I must confess, the original film Predator with Arnold is one of my all-time favorite movies, so I always love watching and talking about these movies, good or bad. Will it be good or bad? Well, you'll have to listen to find out, won't you? All right, so before we get into it, I do have to ask a favor of you, whatever you are watching or listening to the show on. You know the drill. Go ahead and hit follow and subscribe and bells and whistles and whatever else you're supposed to do with that. I would appreciate it, as it does help me and the show, but it also helps you. You won't miss any of my future episodes. And you can go back and listen to all of my previous amazing reviews and hear this sexy, sexy voice. Or on some of them, you get to see this sexy, sexy face. I know someone out there has just made an ugly motherfucker joke, and I don't appreciate it. Not at all. Not on this show. But at any rate, if you could please do all that stuff, I would appreciate it. I hope you're doing well out there, my beloved listener, audience member, whatever the case may be. I know the world seems to be falling apart around us. I don't think we're going to make it to 2026, but I could be wrong. But hopefully I could provide a little escape from reality maybe for the next 20 or 30 minutes. So without further ado, let's talk about Predator: Killer of Killers.
Yeah, it's going to be fun on the bus.
Now, as I mentioned, this is a Hulu exclusive. And Hulu is one of my favorites, not only because I get to watch it for free, but because I just like saying Hulu. And it is animated, and it is also directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who did the last Predator movie entitled Prey, which I liked a lot, as well as being directed by Joshua Wasing. I'm not sure how you say that. I'm sure he probably did most of the animation and all that fun stuff. And this movie did come out last weekend, but, well, you know what? We'll talk about last weekend after the review. I've got some things with the show I want to talk about, and maybe you could help me with. So anyway, we'll get to that later. Now, before I get into this review, I do have to over-explain something. I am going to give you a spoiler-free review as well as a spoiler-free plot synopsis. Now, in that plot synopsis, I have hidden a movie quote from a film that is either related to this movie or maybe shares some DNA. This one's kind of easy, that's why I laugh. But if you can identify that film, let me know. You can get in touch with me on social media. I would say Instagram is the best way to do it, at Cinematic Traveler Pod. I also have an email address, thecinematictravelerpod@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter and Blue Sky, but I really don't go on there very much. Or you can just leave the answer in the comments on YouTube or whatever you listen to. I will find the answer. I will hunt it down like the Predator and find your answer. Do it. Do it now. But if you get it right, I will give you a point. At the end of the month, I add up all the points, and whoever wins gets to pick a movie for me to review next month. Oh my God. Oh my God. How exciting is that? I know you are trembling with excitement over knowing the fact that you could be in charge of one of my episodes next month. So play along. It's fun. I know it seems a little uncool, but that's the best time of the week. And that is to be uncool with Chris. Plus, it lets me know you're out there as I sit all alone in my apartment behind my fort of blankets. There, I have gotten all of that out of the way so we can discuss this film. Now, the movie is broken up into 4 segments. The first segment takes place in the time of the Vikings, as we join the female leader of a band of Vikings on a mission to get revenge on some other Vikings. Now, has brought her son on this, his first foray into battle. After a bloody fight, our team realizes they are not alone, and soon they are standing face to face with a predator. Without going into much detail, eventually, I love that. I just love that. Survives the fight, but is kidnapped by other predators Now, the second segment, we move into feudal Japan, where two brothers are forced into a brutal childhood fight that separates them. Now that they are grown, one brother sneaks into his other brother's fortress to end things once and for all, but wouldn't you know it? And we've all had days like this where you end up having to battle a predator. Ah, damn. It happens to me quite regularly, as a matter of fact. Just kidding. At my age, with my body, it would not be a fight. I think he would just let me go. He would just like, here, just go on. I'll find someone else. All right. This show is already off the rails. Okay, I'll get it back to it. Armed only with swords, the brothers figure out, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Hint, hint. Yeah, see, I told you that was way too easy. I gotta be easy on you sometimes. They fight to the death, with one brother surviving, and he is then kidnapped by some other predators. Now, the third segment takes place in World War II, where a young Navy pilot gets into a heated dogfight with a predator and his own sophisticated spaceship. Through some ingenuity and a bit of luck, our pilot wins the dogfight, but you guessed it, he is kidnapped by other predators. Are you sensing a pattern here? This leads to the final segment where our survivors are brought to the predator homeworld and have to face off with the movie's final boss, a giant predator. Now, can our heroes team up and defeat these ugly motherfuckers? Or will the predators prove that they ain't got time to bleed? Well, I won't spoil the movie by answering those questions, but I will give you the best review for Predator Killer of Killers in all of the podcaster YouTuber universe, nay, in all of the universe. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, yes, the original Predator with Arnold is absolutely one of my favorite films. I think it's a perfect mix of action and horror and suspense and aliens and cool shit. Plus, it's Arnold at peak Arnoldness. I love that movie. I could sit here for hours and talk about how much I love that movie and quote it and all that fun stuff. Now, when we fall into the sequels, well, it's a little hit or miss. Predator 2 was fun. It's just a fun movie. One of the sequels that a lot of people don't like for some reason is Predators with Adrian Brody. I kind of like that movie, to be honest with you. I admit it's not perfect. None of the sequels ever reach the height of the original, but I like Predator. I mean, how could you go wrong with a movie? You got two actors in that movie that have multiple Oscars between them. You also have Walton Goggins. I mean, how can you go wrong with him? And you got Danny Trejo. So, I mean, come on. That's a fun movie. I enjoyed that one. I will say another one that I should hang my head in shame that I like it. And I like it because it is a bad movie. That's Alien versus Predator. The first one, I know it's bad. I know you're sitting there right now. How could I listen to this guy's review? No. Believe me, I accept the fact that it's a bad movie. And whatever you would say negative about it, I will agree with you. But when it's on, I just sit there and watch it. I have no idea why. it kind of drawn me in, and I'm lost in that world. The next one, what was it? Alien Predator Record. That one is terrible. That might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Not that you can see much of it because it's so godforsaken dark in that movie. And then, as I mentioned, Dan Trachtenberg brought back the franchise a little bit with Prey. That came out a couple of years ago. That was really good. I enjoyed the whole setting back in the 1700s with the Native Americans. I really enjoyed all of that movie. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the sequel to that. And the next one, they've got, Predator Badlands is coming out this year. So, yeah, I'm a sucker. It's just like the Alien franchise. If they make a movie, I have to go watch it, good or bad, just because that's the way it is. So, my opinion might be a little bit tainted by my enjoyment of those movies over the years. But you know what? You have to find out. Maybe this is a bad one. Maybe this falls in with The Predator, a movie that we shall not speak of on this show. Unless you win the contest to make me watch that movie. Oh, God. At any rate, let's go ahead and talk about the positives in Predator Killer of Killers.
Sounds pleasant.
Thank you, Bender. Bender the robot. Before we get into things, I do have to get something off of my chest that happened to me this week that are really stuck in my craw, as the phrase is. I don't know what that means, but it really did. It was grinding my gears ever since it happened. I had this damn Yankee carpetbagger try to tell me that Bender from one of the greatest shows ever, Futurama, was actually in Family Guy. And I felt dirty just hearing it. I was insulted, really. I was like, oh my God, how can you confuse those two shows? That trash Family Guy with the marvel that is Futurama. And I thought about not saying this fellow's name that got things horribly mixed up after I had to educate him on the proper series to recognize there. But you know what? I'm going to share his name. And it was Frank from Reels of Cinema. Yes, another podcaster got that wrong. He should be embarrassed and ashamed of himself. But also, you know what? My listener, my millions and billions of you out there listening to this show or watching on YouTube, we have to do something about this. We can't let this go unpunished. So this is what I'm going to need for you to do. And I know we're going to get to the review. Wait for it. Anticipation is half the fun. So I've been told. So what I want you to do is I want you to go find Reels of Cinema on whatever podcasting service you like. I want you to listen to any episode because Frank puts a trivia section in there somewhere. I don't know. I really don't listen to that show. It's all right, I guess. Frank, I love you. You know that. But go listen to one of his episodes. And when he gets to the trivia section, you have a chance to, email him or go through his social media. You have two choices to help me to get revenge on him. You can either answer the trivia question simply with Bender, whatever the question is, or you can answer the question legitimately and then put from Bender. So I need you to do that so we can, really get under his skin about his mistake. Let him learn that he needs to educate himself a little bit more. There, I just wanted to get that off of my chest. I know, it's all just for fun. This show is just goofy. I've told you it's already off the rails on this episode. That's what I get for taking a week off. I'm just all over the place. Oh, wait, I just hope he gets to the damn review already. Just shut up. What else have you got to be doing right now? If you want to be doom scrolling on Twitter or something, God, this is a happy place, a positive place. All right, I'm done fucking around. So the positives of Predator Killer of Killers. Let's see, the first one, I really like the different segments. For the most part, I'll get into something in the negative. I especially love the first two segments. I think they were really well done. You have that whole Viking thing. The only thing I didn't like about the Viking segment, which is something they didn't do in the Japanese segment, is that they start off speaking the native language and then they switch to English. Whereas in the Japanese one, I'll get in a second, but they go just Japanese through that whole segment. But I wish they'd have just stuck with that. That would have been more fun. But at any rate, it was still interesting to watch these Vikings, sailing across the water, getting in this brutal fight. And then they have to figure out this demon that is coming to attack them. It's, again, a cool idea just to have a predator at a different place, a different time in the history of the world. Again, I'll move into the second segment with the Japanese. I absolutely love that one. Absolutely love that one. That segment, that whole movie could have been just that segment. And there's so many reasons why. We'll get into some of the animation stuff, but one of the best things about that segment is there's very little dialogue. There's a little bit in the beginning and a little bit at the end, but everything else is on the screen. You have to watch it. You have to figure things out. I mean, not that it's complicated. I mean, it's Predator, whatever, but you still have to learn visually, which is what movies are for. They could show you things without having to tell you. And I ate that up. It was really cool. Again, it was in the feudal Japanese with the samurai and all that fun. That's always fun. Every movie nerd likes all that stuff with the samurai armor and the swords. And I mean, come on, that's just cool shit. So anyway, I did love those segments. The World War II segment, I'm going to get to later, but I will say it was a cool departure a little bit from our normal Predator fare because it is this dogfight. Instead of having them, on the ground trying to figure things out, they're in the air and there's all kind of new technology and stuff that they're using. So that was interesting. And then when you get to the fourth segment where they're on the home world, again, that added a little more to the lore that we have with Predator or the Predator species or what. I know it's got a name, but I can't ever pronounce it. But it just adds a little more, just enough to get you excited, which is really a good thing to do in a franchise like this. Is just kind of give you little crumbs here and there to keep you interested for the next movie that comes along. Also, with these different segments, I thought it was cool that you have different versions of the Predator. In the Viking one, he's this big, giant, brooding monster that you would expect Vikings to have to fight because they're big, large people, and it's just a tough battle because he's gigantic and he's got this technology. And then they learn from how he gets defeated. So when you get to the Japanese segment, the technology has changed a little bit so that they can, not fall to the same thing that happened against the Vikings. But that Predator in the Japanese segment, he's a little trimmer, a little more agile, which you would expect because he has to fight like a ninja and a samurai and all this stuff. So it was cool that he changed a little bit. The fighter pilot one, you don't really see him that much, but he's a fighter pilot. And then at the end, you have a bunch of different ones because they're on the homeworld, and the last final boss they have to fight is this big giant creature. But he's got like a cape, and it looks like it's made out of the xenomorph tails, but that could just be the way it looked. I don't know. But he was a cool design. I think overall the Predator designs throughout the movie were really good looking and interesting. And again, I appreciate that not only did they change, but their technology changed and adapted to what happened to the last Predator that got killed. So it just shows that there's some intelligence in there in what they're doing, and they're learning as much as the humans are learning throughout. My next positive for the film is the animation. I kind of like the style. It reminded me of that Arcane show that came out a few years ago, and a little bit video game-ish, but like top quality video game animation. And each segment has its own particular things here and there that changed the style a little bit. So you could tell it was really well thought out in that regard, well animated. Didn't really feel like an animated movie at certain points in the film. I just got lost in the world. I will say there were a couple of times, I'm not going to put this in a negative, there were a couple of times where it was like, okay, that's kind of crappy there. But for the most part, I think the animation looks good. It moves quick. It keeps pace with everything. And it changes a little bit from segment to segment. And my final positive, and I love this. This movie is bloody as hell. This is not a kid's cartoon. If you have kids and they see this, don't let them watch it unless you're that kind of parent. If you're a cool parent, you can let your kids watch it. I'd let my kids watch it. They would have nightmares, but it's good for them. But yeah, I was really surprised. It opens up with that battle between the Vikings, and man, you have got blood and guts and heads getting lopped off and intestines coming out. It gets gory and gross, and I was there for it through the whole movie. So I really appreciate that. They didn't hold back. They went for the jugular with these Predators. So yeah, good stuff. But not everything worked great. So let's go ahead and talk about the negatives of Predator Killer of Killers.
Uh-oh, I don't like the sound of that.
Thanks again, Bender from Futurama. Frank. God, I just can't believe it. All right, so let's talk about what didn't work for me in this movie. And as much as I was into this film for the first two segments, that third one with the World War II pilot stuff, I thought I would really like that because I love those planes from back then and stuff, but I just didn't really enjoy that one as much. Maybe because it did break with the formula. Maybe I'm just spoiled and I want my Predator movies to be a certain way. Like I said, it was cool to see a Predator doing something different and killing people. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't want to go into spoiler territory, but there are a lot of things in that scene or that segment where it was like, okay, come on now. Nobody could do that. Even Tom Cruise hanging off the wing of an airplane couldn't have done that. So, yeah, there were a few moments in that bit where I was just like, this isn't really working for me. And then when we get to the final segment where they're on the Predator homeworld, it also isn't quite as good as the first two segments that were there. You get, again, I don't want to spoil things if you do watch the movie, but I don't know, it's maybe too over the top, if you can say that about a Predator movie, especially animated Predator movie. But I don't know, it just does stuff where you're like, all right, this is just kind of corny. I'm not enjoying this. Where you had set it up so beautifully in those first two segments, here it just feels like, almost generic type of movie that you would have. It rips off Star Wars. You get like a canyon run in the spaceship. You also got a Rancor monster that appears for some reason. Like the Predator isn't bad enough. I gotta fight off some kind of monster. And there's just some dumb, goofy things that happen. And one of the characters is kind of annoying. So yeah, it kind of loses steam after you get past the first two segments. And really, those were the only negatives to the film. They do hurt the movie, but overall, I guess I better give you my final verdict here. If you have Hulu, you're a fan of Predator, I would recommend watching it. I think, especially the first two segments, those are excellent. It adds to the lore of the Predator universe. It's gory as hell. It does not hold back at all. And it was just a fun watch. And I think, yeah, it does lose steam at the end. I will, yeah, like I said, I warn you, when you get to the World War II scene, it starts to kind of get goofy and it gets shaky. And then by the end, it's kind of off the rails. But overall, as a Predator fan, I had fun with this movie, and it does get me excited for the, what is it, Predator Badlands. It's coming out later this year. And I think Dan Trachtenberg, I think that's how you say his name, I think he's a good caretaker for this franchise right now. I think he knows sort of the lines to keep the Predator in between, if that makes sense. He pushes a little bit outside of it, but for the most part, he likes to keep everything in what we know. But he gives you enough taste of other things and breadcrumbs here and there to get you excited for the next project. So yeah, my final verdict for this movie, if you got Hulu and you're a Predator fan, go watch it. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, that first two segments, oh my God, the Japanese segment, as I mentioned, that could have been a whole movie. That could have been 2 hours. I would have been in heaven, especially with little or no dialogue. Oh, that would have been perfect. But yeah, overall, I say go check it out. All right, so let's see. Before I leave, I did want to talk about last week and some things with the show. I apologize for missing last week. I did have something else I had to do that week that was a top priority that I failed miserably at. Well, not really. I did it. It's one of those things where, when you start something, you just got to know you're going to suck. But at least if you go out there and try it, that's part of the fun of it. But at any rate, so that's a little excuse. I had time. I actually went and saw a movie. I went and saw the Ballerina movie. Not that it was a bad movie. I just when I sat down and started to write my notes for everything, I was just like, I just had no excitement to talk about it, and I felt like I couldn't fake it, and I don't want to do that to y'all. I want you all to get the best of my performance on these shows, whatever that may be. But yeah, I just really, God, I had nothing for that movie. Plus, I've just been maybe struggling a little bit with my motivation here. I enjoy doing this, but I feel like there's something either missing or something different I need to be doing with this show. So that's where I need your help. If you have any suggestions or critiques of the show, I will listen to any and all, however you want to put them. I prefer you put them nicely, but whatever. I'm a grown man. I can handle it, baby. I ain't got time to bleed. But yeah, I just don't really know what I'm going to do as far as tinkering with the show. I will let you know. I'll have another episode out actually at the end of the week on Friday. That is the 50th anniversary of the release of Jaws. And I know every movie related podcaster is going to do some kind of Jaws podcast. So why not jump into the waters, as it were? But come back. It's going to be fun. I'm going to have something a little different when I talk about Jaws. Plus, I'm going to have some trivia throughout the show. Little bonus trivia sections, and you can play along, and maybe if you win, I'll give you a shout out on the show. Yeah, I'll give you a shout out on the show if you answer questions right and stuff like that. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. I love Jaws, and who doesn't? I mean, come on. One of the best movies ever. But yeah, I got to tinker with some things and figure out a way to make this more unique. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. I've been thinking about it for pretty much the last week, and I don't know. I need to do something. So again, any suggestions would help, or criticisms, I'd appreciate it. But if you are still listening right now, then I must have done something right. And again, if I did, please follow, subscribe, all that stuff. Leave me a review. Again, leave me a rating. Let me know what you think of the show. You can get in touch with me on Instagram. Like I said, that's the best way to do it. I like Instagram. It's at Cinematic Traveler Pod. I also have the email address, thecinematictravelerpod@gmail.com, or in the comment section, whatever. Play the trivia contest. You might win and get to pick a movie for me next month. And if you pick The Predator, I might have to set up a booby trap where a large log will fall on your head. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. I love you all too much for that. Speaking of that, I do appreciate you listening or watching my show. I tell everyone I know I've got the sexiest audience in all the podcaster YouTube universe. You never, ever fail to live up to those high standards. I don't know how you do it, but every time you show up, you're bringing your A game, and I appreciate that. Now, as you are traveling around on this blue and green ball bouncing through the cosmos, avoiding getting kidnapped by predators, I need you to do one thing for me. Go out there and do that voodoo that you do so well.
All right, show's over. I'm tired.